for choosing Houghton Consulting. Today we're going to explore the way that modules work within the Visual Composer. So in the last tutorial, we briefly went over how to structure a page using the Visual Composer, but today we're going to go into a little bit more detail on these guys right here. And you can probably see that I have limited the number of modules in this interface compared to those that were included in the last video. And that's because there are so many of them. A lot of them are more complex in coding and that sort of a thing that I think it would just confuse you to keep them there. So I'm going to make sure to limit the number of modules that are available on your particular user access so that it doesn't overwhelm you. And as always, if there's a tool that you request that I know the capability exists within this interface that I can reintegrate, I will definitely consult with you and add that at a later time. So I'm not taking away any functionality that you could potentially tap into. It's just I'm trying to make it a little bit easier for you to not get overwhelmed and looking at all of these tools. And even the ones that you see here, they go into a lot of depth. There are a lot of options within each of these individual tools. So we're not going to go over every single possible option within all of them, as that would take multiple hours, but this is just going to be a general overview on kind of what they can do and what are the situations where they're going to work the best for you. So up to this point, we've gone over rows and how to organize content, and you're all familiar with a text block. So we'll just go on down the line and so that you can see them all used in an example. So this is pretty straightforward, separator with text. This is also sort of for organizing content. If you have a title somewhere, I know we have a title, let's see, down here on the page. You might want to have a line go underneath it, so that's sort of like organizing it, separating it from the content below. So that's a case where you would want to use a separator with text. So we'll just add that there. And you can change the border width, so if you want it to be thin, you keep it at 1 pixel. If you want to be a little fatter, you could do 3 pixels. And you have a couple of options here. You can align it to the left, to the right, or keep it in the center. And you know, you can play with these a bit if you want. This would change the type of line, like if you want it dotted or dashed. So you can see you can play with this stuff a little bit on your own time to see if it adds to your design. But typically when I'm going through and we're all strapped for time, I generally just use the first tab here unless we really require something more complex. So let's save that. And before we preview it, let's just go on to the next module here. So these are also pretty straightforward. These are just a Facebook like button, a tweet me button, share on Twitter, Google Plus, recommend on Google, and a Pinterest button. So these are just general social media buttons that you can integrate periodically throughout your site where you think people might want to share certain types of information. Usually, on your blog post and that sort of a thing, we'll already have a plugin integrated there that has those links on it. But you might be writing about something in particular, maybe a product promotion, and you want to include this option for sharing like directly in your page where you say, hey, it'd be really nice if you could promote this to your network. It's easy to do. Just click this Facebook like button or share on Twitter, and then they could make a post about your particular page, that type of thing, just a call out. So we can just add a couple of these to see how they look. We're doing this quickly, so these aren't really going to look, super pretty. This is just for your, oops. What did I just click? think I moved something while I was doing that. Oh, I moved the row into here. Well, that was not intentional, but it happened. Let's see if I can move it back out. Sometimes moving rows back out is a little tricky, but that did seem to work, so we'll bring this back up here. Okay, all right. So we did 3 of them, and I think we're just missing the Pinterest. Okay, so we'll save that just so we can see what it looks like, and let's sample it real quick. I'm going to preview. Okay, we're going to scroll down. So you can see that this is where the title is. And then this is a title separator. It's white. And here are all of our social links integrated. So that makes it convenient for people to click through. You can see we didn't change the text here, but if you wanted to change that text, just click back into it, and this is where you would do that. So, okay, let's go on to the other tools. We'll just stay in this row here. Okay, we did work with the single image option previously, and that's just the way that you integrate an image into your website. You just have to click through there. You can go to your media library, or you can upload an image, select the image that you want, and then set that image. And then let's see here. You can add some effects to it. If you want it to be rounded, have a border, an outline, or a shadow, you can play with those a little bit. If you want to link it to a larger image, you can select that and then include the link here. And another really cool thing that you might want to do is put an effect on it. So CSS animation just means that there's an effect. So if you do top to bottom, the image is going to come in from the top of the screen and sync down. I usually will do up here from the center. I think that looks a little bit more classy. This is a good option to use if you're trying to draw people's attention to a particular part of the page where maybe you have a link that is getting someone to buy something, or getting someone to take a particular type of action, maybe submit their email address somewhere or click on something. So you can align the image here, left, right, center. You can have an effect for the way that it hovers when people hover over it. There's a link on it. And you can also put a filter. You can make it gray instead of in color. And you can add a caption. So those are the general options for the images. These are more advanced here, so we're just going to stick to general descriptions for today. So we're going to save that. Now let's go to the next module. The next module is the video player. So the video player, all you have to do is add the link to this section, and it will show the video. So actually, let's go to YouTube and just click on a video. Any video will do. If you don't want to watch it, so let's press pause here. All right, cool. So you just copy the URL of that specific video, paste it here, and then you save those, and it will be embedded into your page. So here's the image that we integrated a second ago. And then here's that video. And the really cool thing about the images and the videos, these modules, is that when you set up your columns, it will shrink to whatever size of column it's in. So if we say we want 2 rows here, I mean 2 columns, and then these are in a smaller section, we haven't set the sizes on this image or this video player, but look what happens. They're going to automatically be resized to that particular column size. Sorry, my internet's a little bit slow today, maybe because there's a storm out there. So you can see they've been limited to this particular area. So that's super, super convenient. So let's use this column over here to explore the rest of these visual options. So you could integrate a Google Map. And usually Google Map is something that you might want to put on a contact us page, something like that. So the way to do this is you go to the Google Maps page, and then you can get the iframe embed code and you just copy and paste it here. I'm not going to do it right now, but that's basically the process. Let's see. Another cool thing, if you're trying to show like progress on something, are the progress bar and the pie chart. So you can say, well, this already has development, design, marketing. So web progress, some sort. And then these are the values that they're going to grow to within the visual representation. And so you just keep consistent with the way that this is written. And these are your variables that you'll see. So you can pick what color you want it to be. Let's say turquoise. You can add stripes, add animation. Let's save that. We'll see what it looks like in a second. Now let's do the pie chart. So let's see, web progress. We'll just keep consistent with that. Input graph value here, choose a range between 0. So 50% would be 50. You can put an integer value here, like a $sign. Oh, I guess this would be the $sign. Unit measurements. I don't have every single piece of all of these modules memorized either, as there are so many options. It's a little bit hard to keep track, and you know, as things are iterated and the platforms are improved upon, they change. So I'm constantly learning along with you as well. So maybe we'll do a percent here. Okay. So let's see what those look like. Slow internet. All right, so this top section would have been our Google Map, which is just automatically integrated, you know, a Google Map from their database because we didn't fill it in with anything. So here we can see our development, design, and marketing tabs, and our web progress here at 50%. So you can see it's filled in halfway. So those are some examples of how you can visually represent data, statistical type of information on your website, which is pretty handy. Okay, so there's a few more to go through. I know this is a long process. Spacing we went through in a previous video. It just adds more spacing above or below a particular module, so you can space things apart. All right, so a teaser box is going to be a creative way to display content where you are going to have a description for your content. You are going to have a title. So this could be the name of a product or whatever it might be. You can change the color. You can change the font size. You can make it bigger. There's a number of options here. You capitalize it. uppercase, lowercase. You can add a link if you want it to link to something. This will determine if it the link refreshes your page, or if it opens up a new tab, so you can play with that depending on what you prefer. And then you can add an image, or you can add a video. So we'll just add an image because it's easier. And we can also add a CSS animation when somebody hovers over it. So we're just going to save that, and we'll see what it looks like. And while that's loading, let's add a feature box. So these boxes are kind of similar. You kind of have to play with them to see, which one is going to work the best for your type of content and what you feel most comfortable with. So it just really takes a little bit of time to get used to them, and by selecting the different options to see what you like better. And you can always ask me if you have a particular type of content that you're not sure how to present it correctly. I'll let you know which tool will work the best. So here you can either have the image on the left hand side and your content on the right, or the image on the right hand side. Right hand side and the content on the left. So you can change your alignment. You can change the background if you want to have like a colorful background on this. We could do it more red so that it's popping out more, people are more attracted to it. And this is how wide the content's going to be. This is the title here. You can change the color of that and the fonts just like before. This is the description. This is where you select your image. And yeah, that's that. So we're going to save those changes. And let's go over here and look at the preview of the one from before. Okay, so you can see when I hover over this, it sort of grows a little bit, just like the previous selection. We have the name of our product. When we hover over it, you see that it's a link. And so we can click on it. It's going to go to Google, as I set it up to go to Google, and then you have a description underneath that. So that was an example of a teaser box. So the next one that we just did is a feature box. So let's preview this, see how that's presenting. And I know this page looks kind of crazy right now with these different backgrounds and all these different modules. And so obviously you wouldn't want to post something like this live. But honestly, when I'm going through the design process and I'm trying to figure out a creative and dynamic design, I do kind of go through this type of process where things look bad for a while and then they progressively improve, and you try an image here, try an image there. It's a building process. So you can see how this looks here. So we selected the background to be red, and then we have our title here, we have our image and our text. So obviously we'd want to change the text to white because we can't read that. And you put a little bit more spacing around it. But that's how that works. So just have a couple more to go through here. If you're still watching this video, you are doing well. Hang in there, we're almost done. So we have a call out, which is kind of similar to a feature box. And you can do a CSS animation there. And so basically what a call out is you're going to have a statement that says like, check out my new book. Call out, like you're calling it out. And if you want to make that bigger, and then let's see. Yeah. We're going to create a button because they need to be able to click something. So that's the URL. This is the text. Click here. The style, we'll just keep it. We'll change the color to green. And I'm just going to go through and do the other ones so we can preview them all at the same time so we don't waste time. Okay, so that's the call out. Now, a total button, this is one that you'll probably use a lot. It's just a styled button that you can integrate wherever you want. So this is the text, click me. This is the link. This is the design, you know, the style of button that you want. You can sort of play with that. If you want an animation on it, you can play with that. You can align it, maybe center, background. You could change colors, that sort of a thing. So play with that a little bit. But this total button, I find I use consistently, and many of my clients do as well. So these two are used for portfolios. If you want to feature a portfolio, so you can say like how many columns is it going to be, what kind of grid style, and you just have to sort of play with that to see how that looks, and if it's your whatever your preference is, you select those things. And then let's see, title, yes, design, so many options on this one. This would probably have to be its own video. So, you know what? I'm just going to skip these for right now because this video is becoming too long. So I'm going to take this one off, and we'll do a portfolio section at another time. The last one I want to go through is the contact form. And if you already have a contact form set up, you'll have a list of all of your contact forms here, and I can help you set those up on the back end, and then you'll just be able to integrate them throughout your website wherever you want by using this. So you can put a title on it, you can select the form, and then save the changes, and the form will appear there. So we're just going to preview these for the last part of this video. All right, so you can see here, this is the call out right here. Check out my new book, and this is the link associated with it. So this white box is the call out. So you can see an issue with spacing happening here. So this is an example of where we'd want to go back in and add some spacing between these two modules. Also here, this is the total button. So this is the button we created, its own module. And again, there's spacing right next to the call out and the button. So we'd want to put some spacing between these. So here is our form, the integration of our contact form. And so you can just see how that looks. So that would definitely need to be styled differently if it was put on a background like this. So we'd probably just put that on a normal white background. So yeah, that's the gist of how the modules within the visual composer work. And there are a ton of others, but as you can see, they're pretty complex and they have a lot of options, so it is a bit overwhelming. And it's, I think, the best approach is to get really used to using a couple of them that work for you and the type of content that you're using on your website, and not try to focus on learning everything, because there's just not enough time. I hope that helps, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.